Okay, here's my setup. I have first, this is the battery that's needed for the starter on the motor itself. So you need two batteries, one for the engine, and then I have a second battery for my receiver. So in my case, you need two things. You need power for the receiver, and you need power for the motor. So this is a 2S LiPo, and in my case I'm using 6 volts for my receiver. So this is a 2 cell life, L-I-F-E, life battery. So this is giving 6 volts, 6.6 volts to my receiver, and this is given the 7.2, 7.4 volts to spin the motor. All right, so I'll show you the connection. So this is connected. I had to use an adapter, and this goes to this side of the ECU, the top. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. Next you have the GSU. This is the GSU, as you see there. I don't know if your engine has the smaller one. I have a newer JetCat which has the mini GSU. The functions are the same, it just looks different. So the GSU uses this telephone type cable, and it goes to the LED. In my case, I have the LED board, the red, green, and yellow LED. So the GSU goes to one side, and then the other side of the LED board goes to the ECU on the back side, where it says data bus. Okay, so from data bus you come out and you go to one end, I don't think it matters which side, of the LED board, and then the other end of the LED board goes to the GSU. Okay, then you have a connection that goes from the ECU, the same side as the power. It goes from there to the turbine. So if you see this black cable here, I've got it bundled, but that black cable goes all the way over to the turbine. Okay? And then for the Kero start, even though it's a Kero start, you plug in where it says propane. If your ECU says propane. So this is the side, and you have to make sure you get the polarity correct. So you see it says negative, positive, and then signal. So the negative, I don't know if yours is brown like mine. So the brown or black goes to that side. And then the, in my case, the orange, you might have white, you may have yellow. That goes in the opposite direction. You know, that goes, where's my finger? That goes in that direction. All right, so this cable goes over to the valve, one of the valves, one of the solenoids as they're called. So this one will, we have the fuel, sorry, I should have shown you this first. So you have the fuel coming in from the pump. Okay, I just got a big loop. And you feed into the pump, and if you look on the back of the pump, there should be an arrow. Let me see if I can see my arrow. You see the arrow? So that's the fuel flow. So what that means, let's come on, zoom in. What that means is this is the input from your fuel tank. So if you see mine, I'll trace it back. Come on, focus, focus. Okay, I'll trace it back. You see this line here comes over to my fuel tank. Okay, so that's the in. Out of the fuel tank, just this big loop, and this goes through a filter. You always want to use a filter, more than one if possible. And this goes to a Y splitter, one in, two out. One side goes to the valve that is going to be used to start, to supply fuel to start, and then the other one goes to the line that's going to supply the fuel for it to run. So this is the run fuel side, this is the start fuel side, and they both get fed from the same source. Okay, now this other solenoid for the run solenoid goes on the other side of the ECU. That's what you see. That's what you see down here. That one, hold on, try to get that one right there. And again, the direction of the color wires is important, because again, you see negative is black or brown, positive is typically always red, and then the signal, that's what that square wave means, that's the signal. The signal is going to be either this orange, yours might be yellow, yours might be white. But the important thing is to get the black, the negative, on the lined up with the black or the brown side. Okay? All right, the next thing you need to do is your receiver connections. So you need 2 channels on your receiver. For most of us, channel 3, 1, 2, 3, is always the throttle. So it's aileron, elevator, throttle, and then number 4 is rudder. But then you also need to create, you also need to use well, you don't have to. You don't have to. You can use an auxiliary channel in your receiver, I'm sorry, in your radio, if you want to power the ECU or power the turbine on and off. So if you want to kill switch on your radio, you would use an auxiliary channel. In my case, I just used channel, what was it, 6? You don't have to. And some people don't want to use that because they don't want to accidentally hit it during flight. So you decide if you want that auxiliary channel to be used or not. In this instance, I am not using it. On my P70, on my other JetCat, I do have it, but I will probably disable it. Okay? And then I have all that going through a switch to make it easy to power the whole thing on and off. So you see, I have the battery connected here. I had the battery connected here, but nothing's on. Not even my LED board here. All of that is controlled through the receiver. So the ECU won't come on if it's hooked to a receiver unless the receiver is turned on. And that's why this switch turns the receiver on, which in turn gives a signal to turn the ECU on. Okay? And the first thing you need to do when you first get it, you have to go through the RC learn process, which means you have to tell the GSU and the ECU how to read the signal, the throttle signal from your radio. So again, in my case, I'm in the US, I'm in Maryland, on the East Coast, right by Washington, DC. On my radio, this is the throttle, because I'm on mode 2 here in the US. I don't know if you're on mode 1 or mode 2, or maybe using something else other than a radio joystick. But yeah. So I'll show you that process before it gets dark here and I can't do anything. All right, so what you have to do is, while pressing the select menu button, hold that down, you have to turn on the power. So I need 2 hands for this, so I don't think you're going to be able to see it. Let me see if I can hold that there. All right, I'm holding this and I'm turning the power on. Okay, you see these LEDs come on? Okay. Oh, and I should have turned my radio on first. Let me turn the radio on. I can let go now. Okay, so my radio's on. Oh, my receiver's not happy. Hold on, let me change to the right model. I gotta change to the model. I think it is, I think it's that one. Nope, it's not that one. All right. Let me try. Okay, there we go. I got a green light on my receiver now. Okay. So, you see on the box it says set throttle to minimum. So, I have my throttle all the way down. So, when it's on minimum, then you press this to go to the next screen. Set throttle trim to maximum, it says. So my throttle trim is this switch here. Zoom in, focus. So I set that, and you'll watch my throttle trim while I hold it. You see this goes all the way up, and you should see these numbers change as you move. I'm gonna move it back down. You'll see it change. You see how it's changing? So if I go all the way to the top, that's my throttle trim set to maximum. All right. And on my screen, you see it's all the way at the top. I think you can see that. Okay, it's all the way at the top. So then you press this again. Where's my finger? Okay. Now it says set throttle to maximum. So then you come over here and you set the throttle stick to maximum. And again, if you were watching that number, it changed. Here, I'll do it again. That's minimum, that's maximum. And my throttle channel is probably reversed in the radio, but it doesn't really matter. And then once you've done that, you press select again, and then you're done. And then you can go, if you want, you can press the run button to let it know you're ready to run. All right, so now what we'll do is, and you see this green light, you're not ready to start unless you see it go, I think it's green, yellow, red, green, yellow, red, green, yellow, red, but right now it's just blinking green. So in order to get it ready, we will take the throttle down, and we'll take the trim down, and I think you'll hear a beep. Okay. All right. So you see that, and that means it's not ready to go. And I think now, if everything is correct, if I take my throttle trim back up to the top, nope, still not happy. Why is she not happy? I don't know. All right, let me do this. Let me power cycle it. Maybe she needs to be power cycled. Power off. Power on. Nope. Pump running. Pump is not running. Why is she not happy? Everything is connected. What does the blinking red mean? I don't know. All right, let me try to troubleshoot this. I'll be back. Okay, it's the next day, and I figured out what my problem was. I had removed my starter wire here because I was doing some work and looking at some of this stuff prior to shooting the video, and completely forgot I removed it. But once I went online and looked up what the blinking red is, I immediately remembered what I did and knew what the problem was. All right, so let's try for attempt number 2. So turn my radio on, or radio is already on. Turn the receiver on. Okay. There's my control panel. LEDs aren't making any lights or anything. That's normal. And now I will go back to raising the trim, and now you see the LEDs are going green to yellow. So green, red, yellow, green, red, yellow, green, red, yellow. Rotating in that fashion is correct. If it was going yellow, red, green, or red, green, yellow, that will be indication of something else not being quite right. All right, so I got fuel in my tank there. I'll prop that up a little bit. All right, so there's my fuel. All right, so I have my trim all the way to the top, and then in order to start the process, you take your throttle and move your throttle all the way to the top. And don't know if you heard it, but the turbine spun up. You might be able to see it spinning behind the shield. And now the pump comes on. And you hear it starting. On the screen you see ignition. And you should see the temperature start to rise. You see the temperature rising, 28, 29, 30. So we know we've got some ignition. And in my case, I get a little smoke around my glow plug there. All right, you hear it's ramping up. You see on the screen, it's accelerating, temperature's rising. All right, in this case, I got an error that the acceleration was too slow. Now it's going to cool down. I think I had just too much air in the line from my last run. I'll let it cool down and I'll try it again. So I'll bring my throttle down. And I got the blinking green light. I should have purged the fuel line before I started. I think that's the problem. Alright, it's going through the cool down. Temperature's dropping. And I think once it gets below 90, I believe, it stops doing the cooling. So, you see my light is blinking. That means it's not ready for a restart just yet. But it will once I bring my throttle down. Once there, you see the lights have stopped. And I'm bringing the trim back up. And we should see the lights, green, red, yellow, green, red, yellow. I still see some air in the fuel line, but hopefully there'll be enough this time. And I'm bringing the throttle up. All right, she started spinning. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if she tries it again. I still see air in the fuel line. Okay. I'm not getting fuel to the line. That's interesting. Alright, now my battery is low. That means this battery. Alright, I'll try it again with a fresh battery. Okay, what I did is I purged the fuel line. My pickup wasn't far enough down into the fuel in my container. So I adjusted that, then I had to purge the air out of the line. So to do that, I separate my line here. Okay. Then you press the select menu and then the arrow until you get to test functions. And the first one is pump test volt. And then you press the change value, and then you will see fuel come out of here. I'm trying to see if I can't. Let me trying to see if I can. I'll try that. Try pushing it down. So I'm gonna press the button. I'm gonna press the change button and you'll see fuel come out. Alright, so I purged all the air out of the line. And then I'll reconnect it back. I need 2 hands. Alright, then when you're done with that, press the run button. We should be good. I got my blinking green. Alright, let me take it back up. Alright, let's take my throttle up. She'll try to start. We're in preheat phase. Alright. Alright, temperature's climbing. Running. When you have a green light means you're under throttle control. So now you can use the throttle. This is idle. And to shut down, bring the idle down. Bring the trim down, I mean. And it will begin the cool down phase. Temperature. And to keep doing that till it gets below typically about 90. Probably do it one more time. Oh, maybe not. Alright. She's done going through the cooling phase. And now you can turn the receiver off, which will turn off the whole system. Alright. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any more questions.